On the territory of Ukraine occupied by the Russian army, relatives of the Russian military, soldiers and victims were massively writing complaints to the Russian military prosecutor's office during the last 6 months of a full-scale war. The insider managed to get access to this archive. Journalists and investigators from the Bellingcat group have studied the letters. Some of the published documents are devoted to the looting of the Russian army on the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine.
Shortly before the 9th of April, the Russian formation had entered our village and began to base not far from our house. When on the 8th of April, a shelling by the Grad multiple launch rocket system began on their positions, my parents fell to the floor, and after waiting for the shelling to be over, they left for a neighboring farm. When my mother returned home on the next day in the morning, she saw an atrocity in our garage. A large tank knocked out our gates, demolished a fence made of a huge slab, demolished the huge hangar gates right into the garage, had stolen spare parts and tools for 200,000 rubles, to the extent that they had stolen change from the car and a condom from my brother's car. Tell me, are they people? They hide behind our backs. Did they come to protect us or to rob and kill us? I repeat, my parents have been living on the territory of the so-called Donetsk People Republic for 8 years, but they hadn't seen such atrocities before. And they are the defenders?
In another appeal, there is a complaint from the mother of a Russian soldier. She is writing that her conscript son has been sent to the front line instead of the military exercises where the soldiers were not provided with food or medical care.
The Russian soldiers were given dry rations, one package for 2 people, while they were being transferred supposedly for the military exercises by an echelon. And also there was no water in the vehicle. They had to buy water by themselves. The Russian Army Command transferred money on their cards so that they would not go into a foreign land with nothing. I understand, it is the army, but not to the point of treating our children as their dogs. And my son's comrade's peacoat has burnt down because of the campfire, so now he walks like a bum in a burnt clothes. Where have you seen that someone treats people like that? When I contacted, I asked how he was doing and why the conscripts were being taken to the war. He answered me that no one had asked them. They sent them there and that's it. I am kindly asking you to consider my complaint and take my measure about returning the conscripts to the military unit, because our children are not animals to be treated that way.
Furthermore, the mobilized residents of the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics are being sent to the front line without any preparation. The mothers of the Russian soldiers have written in their complaints that their sons had been simply thrown to the slaughter.
I'm a mother of a citizen of the Donetsk People Republic who has the Russian citizenship. He hadn't served in the army before, and he did not have any military training at all. He was mobilized to participate in a special operation at the end of February. During that period, they didn't have any basic supplies. They slept in the forest, not having any tents. There were not food enough for everyone, and there was very little water, so the Russian soldiers were collecting the snow in the forest and were melting it. The Russian Army Command put them on the front line with only one cartridge clip in automatic.
There were a number of appeals from the Russian servicemen. Those who had previously signed a contract with the Russian army turned out to be the participants in the so-called special operation on the territory of Ukraine, and they were not given the opportunity to leave their positions. I urgently ask you to consider the report on my dismissal from the ranks of the Russian armed forces. On the 15th of January 2022, I was sent for the military exercises to Syria by ship. But instead of that, my comrades and I were fraudulently sent to Ukraine to participate in a special military operation, and no one asked for our permission. I have lost all my closest comrades in those battles. Now I am in a depressed psychological state. I am 21 years old and I really want to live. My commander refuses to accept the report. What should I do in this situation? There are also letters from relatives of the Russian soldiers among all the complaints who fought on the territory of Ukraine, and a girlfriend of one of the servicemen doubts that he had died. However, the Russian soldiers' relatives have already agreed to bury him, and they do not intend to find out where their son really is, since they had already received their compensation. The girl turned to the Russian military prosecutor's office.
We saw 2 captured paratroopers on the Ukrainian internet resources at the end of March. The place was indicated as the Kiev region. I recognized my boyfriend Anatoly in one of the soldiers, so I contacted the office of the ombudsman. I recognized my boyfriend Anatoly in one of the soldiers, so I contacted the office of the ombudsman Moskalkova. They contacted us back and promised to help with searching among the captured soldiers, but also they asked for a document issued in the morgue as confirmation of his death. Anatoly's parents do have the document, but they do not want to give it in order to try to find their son among the prisoners or seriously wounded. They are satisfied with the monetary compensation. Even more, there is no document on the DNA examination at all. We don't know what person we have buried. The Russian Army Command did not return Anatoly's personal belongings and they did not explain the circumstances of his death.
According to a Russian human rights activist Lev Ponomarev, there are no doubts about the authenticity of all these documents, and the Russian military prosecutor's office is obliged to consider each of the complaints. However, whether criminal proceedings will be opened, there is no certainty. Everything will depend on the perseverance of the people who filed complaints. Only persistent relatives, especially mothers, they can do this procedure for months, and maybe they will pull their children out, but this should be done as actively as possible, including for mothers to put themselves into the picket near the Russian military prosecutor's office. I directly suggest this. There is nothing scary if they are detained there. They will only receive fines. But the most important thing is that the mothers have authentic documents. They know for sure that those are not fake. So you need to be more active to get what you want. But in our country, activity is crushed. Part of the complaints also came from the relatives of the servicemen who were either captured or went missing. The relatives can learn about their fate only from the Ukrainian side, because the Russian Army Command does not provide any information. The same situation is with those who were killed, but their bodies were never returned to their families. Reported by Pavlo Shtelmach, Natalia Белокудря, UATV News.